Hello everyone, welcome to my July garden tour. It's hydrangea season and mine have never looked better. Everything else in the garden is performing extremely well for me this year. It's time to walk around, capture some images of this beautiful garden and share that with you at this time of year. As ever, I'm going to be starting over here on the roadside garden. Right here at the entrance of the garden on the other side of the fence, I have a container with my beautiful zinnias, and that will be the first thing I want to share with you in this video. The varieties are Polar Bear and Cinderella, and I started them from seed, and I love the way they look right here. So moving on now, back inside the garden, my Leyland cypress is growing slowly, looking good, and right next to that I have these two hostas, and behind that is a very floppy pinnacle hydrangea, which seems to be suffering from a disease of some kind but has bloomed beautifully this year. Continuing down the pathway here, we're looking on the left side. I have the Rose of Sharon, pink chiffon, which is now blooming, followed by a dahlia that I forgot to pull out and has come back. Then I have the astilbes, which are done blooming now. Back there is a small agostomia that is currently blooming, right next to my hydrangea Annabelle, followed by the asters, and then we have the heucheras. Beyond that are some anemones, a small little blossom pinnacle hydrangea, and then a Pierre de Rosade, a rose that I planted here and which is now beginning to establish itself. I can't wait for this thing to grow here and take over this space. Beyond that is my double pink chiffon Rose of Sharon, which is slowly opening up its buds now and beginning to bloom. And then we have the Echinacea purpura, which is looking amazing right now. Right in front of that is a Sedum autumn joy, some coleus, and some bluegrass. My dahlias have been blooming for some time now, but I love this yellow dinner plate variety, which is just amazing. I have a cosmos here, which I did not plant, self-seeded. Then we have the little lime hydrangeas. I have two of those in these front borders. My daisies have seen better days. I probably should prune those daisies. A pompon dahlia here at the back, and then all the bachelor's buttons that I'm still keeping. Another little lime hydrangea, the Japanese anemones, which has come up now, budded up. More echinacea, black-eyed Susan, and the grandiflora rose. These lamzias, they've filled up so nicely. They haven't bloomed this year. Oh, look, we have a bloom here. All right, so the lamzias are beginning to bloom. More Sedum autumn joy, blue hosta, and then we move into the dry garden, the stone garden, where I have two phantom hydrangeas. This one is more in shade compared to the other one, which is in full sun and looking fantastic. A lot of evergreens, the baby spruce over here, and then the red umbrella. The grasses are coming up now. None of them blooming yet, but I have giant grasses here. I also have some bamboos in container here right next to the pond. The pond could use some cleaning. Going back up now, our dry river is still in progress. Then we have the island bed with the Japanese maple tree, the bloodgood Japanese maple, growing beautifully, looking amazing. In the middle right here is a vanilla strawberry hydrangea, which is beginning to turn pink right now. And right next to it, below, is a little Matterhorn, a new hydrangea that we have here in Switzerland. The snaps have done great. I need to deadhead lots of them. And then I have a volunteer tomato here that I've failed to transplant. So it's right here. And then lots of the ground cover roses. At this time last year, this was not here. This garden was, and 2 years ago, this garden was non-existing. So I'm pretty happy and proud of how things have turned out here. So moving on now, the bigger of my phantom hydrangeas. So this one is also in a part shaded area. It gets morning sun and afternoon shade, as you can see. And it has started turning pink earlier than the one that is in full sun. So that is something to take into consideration. These are the macrophylla hydrangeas that have flopped a lot. As you can see, the blooms are mostly spent at this point, but I have some new blooms coming up. As you can see, lots of new stems. So I'm going to be moving all of these hydrangeas to the back garden where we have more shade. New England aster, the taller version of the asters, which is growing quite nicely. And lots of things here that may not be here next season. So moving on now to the back garden. And the first thing I'd like to share with you in the backyard here are my pinky winky hydrangeas. They look amazing. I'm so happy with how they're performing right now. I think I underestimated how well they can perform, and to think that I mean, look at these blooms. They're just beautiful. Hands down the best looking hydrangeas in my garden right now. I've had a long period with the Annabelle Incredible hydrangeas, and right now to have these new fresh blooms is just amazing. So I'm keeping these here, and I cannot wait to see how they transform and progress during the season. So not too far from the Pinky Winkies is the incredible hydrangea hedge that is now slowly beginning to turn brown. I mean, most of it is lime green, and the brown that you see is the sunburn. We've had lots of rain and winds this July, which is why some of them are flopping a little bit, but the stems are quite steady, and they are holding up. It's performed so beautifully for me, and it's grown so big. I had to actually reduce the size of the hedge. I had to prune them quite massively a few weeks ago. If not, they'll be falling into the pool by now, and I'm glad that I did that. But the one thing is for sure is that I'm going to be moving them come the end of the season and putting them over there where they'll have enough space to grow. So the incredible hydrangea hedge this July, looking glorious, just fantastic. Moving on now, a trio of pinnacle hydrangeas, a limelight in the middle, a phantom hydrangea on the left, and a little something that is the first to bloom in the garden and also the first to turn colors when all the other pinnacle hydrangeas are still lime green, white. I'm trying to make this stem into a standard hydrangea. At the beginning of the season, I put a zip bag around it with some soil in it, and it has rooted. It's difficult to see from here, but it has rooted, and I'm going to be planting that separately between now and the end of the season. Beyond that, we have a row of lavender, which bloomed beautifully this season. I had to cut back some of the blooms because they were just so big, but I do need to give it a prune anyways, because the new set of buds is already visible in some of the bushes, and so I need to cut off the old blooms and allow those fresh new buds to bloom and provide a new fresh set of blooms. Between the lavender bushes are my standard roses in containers. I have a white me love here that has now pushed out its second set of blooms, and I need to come out here and prune those spent blooms. I have two of those. This is a much bushier one. This is its second flush of blooms, and as you can see, I still have lots of buds yet to open up. We've had lots of wind, which is why most of the blooms have lost their petals. So it's been quite windy, but the plants are doing great. And then I have a standard Candy Love hydrangea in a container also between the lavender bushes. This one, I lost the stem on it when we had one of those storms, so I lost one of the stems. The rest of the blooms are doing quite all right. Other standard roses that I have here in a container. This is also its second flush of blooms. did quite well at the beginning of the season. As you can see, it has is sending out another, and it's loaded with buds. I do have another one over here on this side of the same rows. I have a feeling this one is suffering a little bit too much under the sun. Right next to that are some zinnias in a container together with little lime that are growing right now. I had some foxgloves at the beginning of the season, which did quite well, and I removed the foxgloves and put in the zinnias, which you see blooming here. I think they work quite well together with these little lime hydrangea. So over here I do have more zinnias of the same variety. The polar bear, which I planted a lot of this season, and the Cinderella white. I had other varieties that I started from seeds. By the way, I started all my zinnias from seeds, but other varieties didn't do that well. My lovely Rococo rose is also sending out a second flush of blooms this season. I have a feeling that this second flush is not as beautiful as the first one, but so far the plant is looking quite healthy. As you can see, there's something eating on those leaves. Yeah, and other things here that I don't care to mention right now. So moving on now, we head out to the new garden room with the pergola here. So here we have a super petunia magenta looking quite beautiful. Underneath a Japanese maple tree, lacy leaf maple tree. And yeah, so here I have a hibiscus in a container underplanted with some begonias, the red begonias. This is an evergreen. And another red umbrella here. A Mediterranean cypress. Firelight Tibet hydrangeas, which I just put here recently, and they're taking time to establish themselves. And then I have some, all these things are new here. This bed is completely new, and I've been kind of like experimenting with planting things here and seeing how they look. Some I've had to remove already, but so far I like the agapanthus here. It bloomed quite well. It looked great, and I'm going to be leaving the agapanthus, and I'm sure I'm going to combine that with the little pinnacle hydrangea here for now. However, I'm going to probably remove these irises because I don't think they'll work well with the other two things. The boxwoods, however, I like them here. I'm going to be adding another one here at the very front to close up the bed, but I'll probably move them out and yeah, widen the bed a little bit more. And then we have the grass. This is another tall grass here. I moved the grasses around so many times I don't remember exactly which variety is growing where, but when they bloom we'll know for sure which one is which. Right here is my other blue spruce that is still in a container that I'm yet to plant out. And here is the red smoke bush, probably going to stay here. I considered removing the cosmos here, but it's already so far ahead that I just decided to keep it here. So next year I'm probably not going to be planting cosmos here. Maybe something a bit lower that we can only see from this side. The advantage with having the cosmos here grow this tall is that we can see them from the other side above the pinky winky hydrangeas. Now beyond that we have the bed of dahlias over here. I have pruned them, I've cut them back very drastically because they were growing and never ending. Growing very tall, taller than 2 meters. Quite difficult to, this one has fallen and we had a lot of wind. So this was on the floor. I'm just trying to rescue it. Hopefully it stays up. So for next year, I'm probably going to put those hydrangeas here. Speaking of which, also from here, looking great, and we're going to look at the vegetable garden now. However, before we get here, we have another flower bed that we could look at. Right there underneath that tree, I have a flower bed in which I have lots of things growing. What I'm going to highlight right now are the hollyhocks. Now look at that bloom. Hollyhocks that I started in my winter sowing adventure. I had many things, but I didn't know they'll do this well, and I didn't. This is the first time that I'm growing hollyhocks. I wish I had taken better care of all the seedlings that I had, because now I would have had so many of these giant, tall, pretty blooms. This one is quite beautiful. And next year, I'm just going to fill this space up with the hollyhocks. Right next to that are the sunflowers, volunteer sunflowers. Under that, I have some gladiolus that are not blooming yet. And then I have the lots of hostas here, choked up in endless summer hydrangeas that are not doing that well, probably because the whole space is so full of other things. Snapdragons, ground cover roses, echinacea. The echinacea is accidentally here. I thought I was planting a black eye Susan, short growing variety here, and it turned out to be this giant echinacea that is very happy being here and taking over the entire space. So to do for next season, removing this year, perhaps sending it right there at the back, maybe somewhere else. Beyond that is a forest of various things. Nevertheless, this is another phantom hydrangea, which is in full shade here. The blooms are a bit scantier than the other hydrangeas, but other than that, it's looking quite all right. And my wild garden is with lots of things that I'm yet to plant out. The abrovide that I want to have here. And then we have this early blooming gladiolus. It's coming out of season. As you can see, my green giants back there have not been receiving enough water to grow to their full potential. So moving on now into the vegetable garden. So the vegetable garden is currently, what is growing currently in the vegetable garden are the tomatoes. So all my tomatoes this season are growing in grow bags and containers, and they're doing quite great. Look at that beautiful tomato. You know what? Oh my goodness, this looks amazing. They're growing big, really good. And this one right here, that is a giant tomato. So I'm very happy with how they're doing. Lots of cherry tomatoes. This is the sun gold, and here I have a black cherry. Lots of fruits, non-blooming right now on the black cherry, but the sun golds are prolific. In here I also have an old tomato variety and a rose de Berne. Oh, look at this beautiful looking pepper plant, looking very healthy. Peppers and aubergines are just looking, look at that aubergine. It's just producing and producing. It's a shame that I don't like eating aubergine that much because I have lots of aubergines to process here. However, the jalapeno pepper this year, my goodness, like this thing is loaded with peppers. This is, the peppers did quite great this season. The ones that I planted in the grow bags, they did quite well. I need to show you the beans that I started just a few weeks ago. It's taking off. I have a tall variety and a bush beans in there. Then I have a a tigrella tomato here. I have another pepper plant here, and this bed where I used to have the onions that I pulled out, they did quite well. I decided to put some potatoes in there and an elephant ear. This one is an edible variety that is called cocoyam in areas in Africa. This is a dahlia. So back behind the Swiss chart, and look at my Swiss chart. It's still looking quite good, producing lots of juicy and healthy leaves. I have lots of beets. Behind the Swiss chart are a lot of things growing. Weed, Verbena bonariensis, that is self-seeded and wanting to take over, but also some onions and some garlic that I've not harvested yet. So I need to clean up that space and plant in some carrot seeds. Over here is my fig tree. Look at that fig tree. It is loaded with fruits. So the fruits that came in at the beginning of the season are almost ripe now. But as you can see, the tree is pushing out new fruits that we'll be harvesting later on in the season. And look at that branch. It's just full of it. Everything is going to bloom in here. So I need to do some harvesting and pruning in there. But also lots of mints. I need to harvest that mint also. Growing prolifically. So the sunflowers. Some of my sunflowers are now about 3 meters high. They're quite tall. Lots of branches, lots of flowers, and they seem to have survived the winds and the storms that we've had, so they're staying. The second raised bed here is a mixture of many things. The most important ones to mention is the celery that I'm growing here, and there's a pumpkin that is supposed to be growing in there somewhere. Here are 2 Hokkaido pumpkins that I only started like a month or so ago. And look at how many little pumpkins they are sending out. I have 2 plants here. The bad thing that I did, or not so smart thing, was to plant the sweet potato between these 2 pumpkins, because the sweet potato is getting 0 light and it needs a lot of light to be able to produce properly. And I need to go and rescue my kale between these vines and plant it somewhere else. I see that the kale is not doing that bad. Maybe it actually likes that little shade that it's getting in there. But yeah, anyways. The zucchinis produce lots of giant zucchini fruits that I've harvested, processed. They tasted quite good. But now I think the plant is done for the season. Right next to the zucchinis, we have the cucumber, which I've been loving. This is one plant, and this one plant has given me more than 20 zucchinis already and has lots more to come. My watermelon is not doing that well. At this stage, we should have a big fat watermelon hanging on these trellis, but it's just a tiny little thing with 0 hope. So the beans, however, has taken off now, and I hope that very soon you'll cover the empty spaces on the trellis that we see. And I do have beans here on this side as well. But look at this. We have lots of pumpkins, different varieties. They've produced lots of pumpkins, so I'm very happy. Oh, look at that one. It's getting big. More pumpkin there. The one thing that is not doing that well, and I don't know what happened this season, is the butternut pumpkin, which is, I haven't seen anything yet on the butternut pumpkins. The ones that I planted in that raised bed, they took forever to get started. And the ones that I put here, it's only now that this one is beginning to take off. So let's wait and see. Usually it does quite well, but I probably didn't give it what it needed this year. Let me see, is there a fruit somewhere? Another limelight hydrangea. 2 arborvitaes, asparagus here, snapdragons, sunflower, pear tree, and giant pumpkins. This pumpkin is big, like, and it's just growing. It keeps growing, and I'm a bit worried about how I'm going to get it to the front garden or to the front of the house for Halloween. So this is really big. However, the leaves are beginning to die back, so that means it is heading towards its end of the season. I don't know. The giant pumpkin, the corn, which is very sweet. We've harvested 2 corn fruits, or whatever you want to call this, corn heads, corn. Look, I can harvest another one. Look at this. Which one should we take? This one. I'm going to harvest that and open it for you to see. There, look at that. So look at my beautiful corn. Pretty happy with how all the corn is turning out. I probably need to harvest all of these within the next week or so. So the corn did well. It didn't grow that tall. I was a bit worried, but it turned out to be quite all right. So I planted 3 pumpkin seedlings here, and they took a while to kick off. But once they did, they produced 3 giant pumpkins. So yeah, we have enough for Halloween, I would say. One of these will be enough because this is big, like, yeah. The rest of the garden we've already seen. I have my other sweet potato here in a container. I hope this one will do better, or will give us some sweet potatoes. And in here are still the potatoes that I haven't harvested yet. That one is exposed already, so I need to come harvest to dig them up. Here is a ground cherry. Thanks a lot for joining in, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.